Happy Saturday night, everyone out there, THL land, and anybody who's, just a need a little bit extra Hearthstone tonight after they watched Masters Tour all day. Hopefully, you've come to the right place. I am Donde, and I'm here to help bring you one big match this evening, and alongside me casting this evening is Dano. Dano, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm doing very well. Doing very well. Sorry, I disconnected myself from the call there instead of unmuting myself, which makes me wonder if I was ever muted. So, hey, if you heard the kids baking championship in the background, you're welcome.
I'm sure their show is just as excellently produced as this show is. Very refined.
I 100%.
And they're going to be delivering some delicious things. We are going to be delivering one delicious, tasty treat to you all tonight, and that's one Hero Series match between Shunsui 21 of ATL and ChubbsPetersonsHand of Spies That Flies. This is a big match tonight here, as these two teams are both jockeying for position near the top of the Hero standings. Actually, right at the top of the Hero standings. I believe they're both 1 and 2, and this is currently a 6-5 game right now in favor of Spies That Flies. So this is a very pivotal matchup. We can see the classes on screen there for Shunsui. He's got Demon Hunter, Druid Hunter. Those are 2 classes, by the way, and Warrior. I said them like the really weirdest cadence because I was reading a message that I got from one of the players right as I started speaking. So I apologize. It's a Druid, then Hunter, Warrior.
I wish could add Hunter and everything. A Hunter.
Yes, Warrior
and
Hunter.
a Warrior Hunter.
That's when you want to bring the direct counter to any class that your opponent has. And then Chubbs Peterson's hand has Druid. No, he doesn't. Wow, I am just all off tonight. Yeah, you miss a week, and then this is what happens. Demon Hunter, Hunter, Mage, and Priest. So we are seeing quite a different lineup here. Chubbs opting to not bring the Warrior, which has been so popular, and bringing Mage and Priest instead. So this is interesting, Dano.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about the no Warrior bring as well. Just because it almost always sucks a ban. Oftentimes just find a win. It's such a great counter to Demon Hunter, especially for Hero. That it seemed like I was a bit surprised by it, especially because with it being it's a Demon Hunter counter, it's also then a Quest Warlock counter. There are a lot of great things Warrior does, so not seeing it, especially in the last Hero standing format, I was a bit surprised.
Yeah, I think I like Priest quite a bit in the format here, just because it does have the he's very capable at targeting Warrior specifically, and it's nice for that one win you got to have. It can do crazy things. Sometimes you just turn into your opponent's deck because that's what the class does right now, is just steal and steal. Better than Rogue, and it's not a terrible bring.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like that. We talked about this on Hearth Center on Wednesday. I have not had much love for Mage personally, so I think that to me might be the sticking point in the lineup for Chubbs. We'll have to see if he's a better Mage player than I am.
I don't think that's possible, actually. So, that anyone's a better Mage player than you. So,
yeah. Excuse me. Everyone's a better Mage player than me right now. That's it's impossible to be worse than me. I am so bad at Mage. Please, none of my opponents, please listen to this because I might bring Mage. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, I have not tried Mage lately. I know the Masters Tour, it has been not performing great the past couple of days. Watched a bunch of that today and yesterday. But Mage has been kind of a struggle deck. So yeah, I think I like Priest better than Mage, though Priest doesn't quite line up quite as well as it used to, but it is still super good against the Warrior. So yeah, I could definitely see a reason to bring the Priest for sure.
Well, we have some bans in, so let's pop these up on the screen, and then we can talk about those as well. Shunsui's Hunter is banned, which isn't I guess not entirely surprising because Hunter is a strong class, but Demon Hunter and Warrior are both still available, which, as we mentioned, usually are that's the preferred ban for a lot of people, is one of those 2 classes. So unless Chubbs has a specific idea in mind, which with Priest and Mage, he might very much not mind those aggressive decks, and then Chubbs is going to have his Demon Hunter ban, which is, of course, somewhat expected. So that is where we stand right now. I know the players are ready to go. Dano, are you ready with friend invites and the like?
I've sent more friend invites out and have not been requested. Would you mind just sending one? I put my username there in the chat.
Oh, I've sent to you. We're friends.
You and I are friends.
I just wanted to hear you say it. I just wanted to hear you say it to me.
I see. I was like, well.
I live on friendship, man. I live on the friendship. I need to have it. That's why it kills me. The Blizzard's like, man, you can only have 200 friends. Like, but I want to be friends with everybody.
It's such a weird thing, right? Like, why do you care how many friends I have? Like,
I did provide him your tag as well. So hopefully one of you.
Thank you.
Will get the invite to the other. We are just having slight issues with Dano getting friended up with Shunsui, and then once that happens, we will be ready to go.
I think it's a wise decision. I think on their part, it's like, oh, if I just fake it long enough, he'll just cast half the match, and I don't have to be friends with him. It did. It was the best.
It went about as well as you could hope, though, for a match
that time I was
half the cards.
I was specifically kicked out of the match and then therefore had to log out of the client and log back in order to try and spectate again, which was lesson learned about just letting people know beforehand that I am going to be spectating.
I try to let everybody know who the casters are going to be, but sometimes you just see an invite and you're like, oh no, it's THL, I can't have anybody watching me, and you just boot them, then you forget you're on stream, and then all of a sudden you have what happened with us there. So it does happen from time to time.
It does. It does seem to happen to me every week that I'm casting, though.
I mean, if it's happening every week, you might want to check yourself.
It's true, which, I mean, yeah, I think is the problem. Except for the week that I forgot to show up and went on a walk instead, and then felt real guilty about it afterwards.
No, that's okay. Shunsui said he sent you a friend request, so hopefully that gets there to you.
Oh, does he know it's a 0 and not an O?
That is what I sent. So
okay.
hopefully he used his copy-paste foo.
Okay.
While we're waiting for that, or did you get it?
No, I don't have it.
Oh goodness. Well,
I've sent and accepted a friend request before. This is kind of like my car. So like my car, I could not get the key out of the ignition, and I took it into the shop, and they kept on telling me that it's fine. And then I would get home and the key wouldn't come out of the ignition. And I was like, am I just insane? And so I took it back. I took it back in again, and they said, okay, we took it out and we lubed it up, and it's great. I was like, okay. And then they tried it one more time, and then it happened for them finally. And I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. So they put like a whole new ignition system in, and it cost me a lot of money, and it was a bummer. So I got it home yesterday after getting it fixed. And the key didn't come out of the ignition, and I was like, "Well, this is it. I'm just dead. I'm dead, and this is hell."
Oh man!
So I called them. I was like, "Hey, this is Dan. I just got home with my car, and the keys still won't come out of the ignition." So they sent it. So I went back in, and sure enough, it was actually. There it is. I got it.
Hey.
It was actually something was wrong with the new system they put in, and so they turned something off so that I could drive it home, and they're gonna like get the new part on Monday or something. But I did feel like I had like fully just walked into the Twilight Zone. It was an interesting moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this isn't happening to me.
That is one heck of a story right there. Yeah.
Like the first time I took it in, I was like, they're like, hey, you need new brakes, but your ignition's fine. I was like, oh, great. I guess I got new brakes.
That's better than nothing. I could stop.
Yeah.
If I never get going.
Yeah. Well, it would start just fine. It just would. I couldn't turn it off, which was a problem.
Well, speaking of getting going, it looks like we're about to launch here into the game. We will have Shunsui on the bottom.
Oh, I love this hunter list with the Maev. It is just the wonderful, just the best 30th card.
You are way ahead of me right now, as I'm still loading into the game.
It is the Highlander desk. It was a Highlander hunter deck I was running for a little while there, a month or so ago. And it definitely wasn't a good card, but it wasn't the worst card either.
What card were you referring to?
Maev Shadowstorm.
Maev, yes. It's definitely one of those situational cards that, I mean, it's towards the back end of the list, I would say, in terms of whether
Yep.
it's cuttable for something else. It's
Yeah.
in that range of like Nagrand Slam, Boom Pistol Bully. It's definitely tech specific.
Yes, I agree 100%. I kind of look at it as like the 30th card in the deck. Like if somebody said, "Hey, this is a better card," I'm like, "Okay, cool. I know which card I'm taking out." But like at the same time, it's like I haven't found anything better yet. So
And as we see, turn one, pretty standard here for the Hunter. That's Chubbs on the top there. As you see, he gets that Dwarven Sharpshooter down. And also standard for Shunsui is to have that Battle Fiend on one, but he invests real hard to make sure that Battle Fiend stays alive, using up both halves of that Twin Slice, and then also his face and the coin. So now he's got good cards in hand to at least survive to get to the later stages of this game, and Chubbs is going to have to find a way to get rid of that Battle Fiend and before it really takes over.
an option to go wide instead of to take advantage of the Crimson Sigil Runner that turn, which I can appreciate against Hunter. But either way, he would have got that Tunnel Trog up to 3 attack. But
I don't mind it
yeah,
here
it was
because he's got the Satyr on 3, and that means you can use the Satyr on 3. And there's enough cards that are cheap enough in front of that Sigil Runner that it's going to get to the left side of that hand fast enough. So I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
No, I definitely think it was a bad idea. It was, I just thought it was interesting to kind of point out. So
Yeah, definitely. And as we see, Shunsui playing with a quickness here, as the Demon Hunters often do. He continues to really establish himself on board, plays out that Satyr as expected. Now, Chubbs is sitting on 4 here with a couple of reactive options. The kill command comes out to take care of the Satyr, and he will use the Spear to remove most of the board. But at this point, he's already down to 19 health.
yep, and you smell something burning? Oh, it's on the show. Okay,
I will
that's
take
good.
care of that. I was going to say, you can leave and take care of that so you don't have your house burned down. That would be great.
Okay, are you done with that game?
I'm not done with the game. I'm actually talking about somebody playing the game right now. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Nate.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, but go back.
It is a greater than 0 chance that my daughter will make an appearance at some point in the next 15 minutes as well. So we might end up catching both sides of the dad stone as we typically do here in the first hour of our broadcast. Though there's only the first match is the only match tonight.
Oh, I gotta go. Okay, but I got Dean. I thought that was an interesting decision. To way that he used the 4-1 to trade instead of using face and then getting the snake trap down. I thought that would have been a really interesting way to kind of guarantee the snake trap hitting.
Yeah, I think at this point it might be more for, since this is closed list, and last hero standing for those who are not used to the hero format, this is maybe more of a bluff than anything else, and you see that Shunsui uses the Warglaze, which he's probably going to use anyway there, just to go ahead and test the secret out and make sure it's not an explosive trap that could potentially ruin his plans. But Shunsui has Chubbs on the ropes right now, down to 11 health. Into turn 6 here, he can Glaive Bound next turn. He's got Altruist, so he's got more than enough burst to really handle the closeout portion of this game.
Yep, and always Huffer. I'm not sure if Huffer is what you wanted to see there, but it is what it is. I think all 3 are good options, but Huffer maybe been the weakest. Not necessarily looking for the face damage. Already at 11 health. Chubbs Peterson's hand is probably getting a little bit stressed about just staying alive at this point.
Honestly, I think that Huffer might, not that it's ever, like you said, a bad choice, but I think it might have been the preferred option there because you're just gonna see this right here, where Shunsui will go ahead and hero power, and he would be able to plow through that 4/4 and right into your face anyway. And this way, if he wants to kill the 4/2, it's already hit once, it'll hit again. So technically, he could get potentially 2 swings in with it, but I don't think it really is going to make a difference, unfortunately. There's not a lot of burst potential in the Hunter's hand at the moment, unless he literally top decks a Brand, but even then, might be not enough.
And here comes the Blade Flurry on a stick.
Just using it for just the 1 damage, but Shunsui does go face with the Warglaives to get Chubbs down to 6.
And just 1 mana from having a really great turn here. I still think you probably use Zixor to...
I think you have to.
Or do you ever just Mana Saber and Explosive?
I mean, I think the problem
or are you just dead
about,
because they just go ahead and just kill you anyways?
I think you're worried about the fact that he's just going to dump his hand regardless.
Yep.
So I think you have to use the Zixor to ensure that... I mean, it would be prefer if you knew that Rot Nest was going to go ahead and hit the Altruist guaranteed, then you could do that. But no, I think the Zixor is the only play that you can make there and hope to stay alive.
It's a pretty good card.
But the well, it is a great card. It was to say, if this was not Explosive Trap, this would have been lethal, as the Glaive-bound Adept would be enough damage, plus the Crimson Sigil Runner and the hero power. But that is going to keep Chubbs alive another turn here. And
are you ever just freezing their face?
I was
choosing just to get them as close to lethal as possible.
I was going to say that's possible. I could also definitely see an argument for I-beaming one of your 1/1s.
Yep. That was one thing I was thinking about as well. Just to make sure they don't get you in the backswing. Like, you're such a good spot here, Shunsui, that you'd almost wonder, like, how, start to get a little defensive if possible.
Yeah, because I think with the I-beam, you give yourself 3 extra health. Let's say that for whatever reason he's able to put down a taunt, like a Cartoot or something to that effect. It's not in every Highlander Hunter, or very barely in any Highlander Hunter deck, but maybe like a Bone Wraith or something like that. And then all of a sudden, you can't finish off this game with what you've got in hand. But
we just saw our 3rd secret, which was surprising. I think I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's a freezing trap, which is going to unfortunately be completely irrelevant, as any one of the 3 things will suck it up and then cause this game to end.
To end.
To end, indeed.
You possess true power.
So Demon Hunter takes game 1 and defeats Chubbs Highlander Hunter. So now, this being last hero standing, as we mentioned, for those who are unfamiliar with it, you do not switch to another deck if you win. So this is unlike Conquest, which you may have been watching all day on the Hearthstone Esports channel. This is last hero standing. So when you lose with a deck, it is out. It is no longer playable. So that means Chubbs can no longer play that Hunter. But Shunsui must stay on the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, poor Shunsui.
Oh no, he must play Demon Hunter.
Oh, and we are looking at a Res Priest.
Quest Res, specifically. Quest Res, because you see that activate the obelisk over there.
This is, and we know exactly what the plan is from ChubbsPetersonsHand here, and I respect it in this format, but gross.
Now I have to ask, is this a matchup where you don't even really want the quest? Do you just throw that quest away?
Because
let's think about this. Do you really ever get to the point
where you
play it? Or
what are you looking for, right?
Just taunts and board clears. Like he did not when he threw stuff away, he picked up Plague of Death, which is way too late. If you get to play that, you're probably going to win the game.
Most likely.
Breath of the Infinite was his first draw, which is phenomenal in this matchup. And I personally think that might have been a situation where you dig really hard for that or Holy Nova, which I can only presume is also in the deck.
I would assume, yeah. But kind of kept the Convincing Infiltrator as well, which I imagine will be coined out on 4, but still seems like a real kind of gritty save as well. I think you're probably right, but it's one of those situations where it's like, well, I just don't have enough I just have not played enough of Quest Res to really have any idea, right? Like, I just don't even know.
Yeah, I would imagine it still plays the same kind of way it did the last meta. You want to have your taunts in the mid game, be able to res those again, and that'll carry you to the end, where eventually you just choke the other deck out, which right now, Shunsui's hand is very heavy for a Demon Hunter, and that's not ideal. I know he's got Skull of Gul'dan in the Outcast spot on the left side of his hand, but everything else is just not working cooperatively, and Breath of the Infinite will clear off a good chunk of the board. But Satyr Overseer on time right there.
Yeah, that would be my biggest worry if I were Chubbs right now. I don't know. I can understand wanting to get as much health, maintain as much health as you possibly can, but it only cleared 2 damage off the board and left one of the more powerful minions up. And now you're gonna. I think you really have. I mean, both hits here are good, right? Like 2 of the 3 are really good if he trades in now. But look at that with his second Satyr in hand. Holy smokes!
Well, here's the thing now. He's gonna double swing with the glaives and end up with 2 more 2/2 Satyrs, which means this drops to a 40% chance of being ideal. However, the Battle Fiend is gonna get up to 5/2 after all is said and done, which means that you can Shadow Word Death it next turn.
That is a boatload of damage.
It is, and I think this is exactly the argument that you made, where having that Breath of the Infinite right now would be absolutely perfect, because it would just completely wipe the slate clean, and then you can always rebuild from there with your water hoofs, or water bearers rather, sandhoof water bearers.
Yep.
But now he has to choose between trying to heal himself, killing off this 5/2, which pretty much has to be done.
I think in the current situation that was the right play. With the water bearer would heal 5, that basically healed for 6,
it is,
right?
But
plus the hero power.
Still lethal.
So, oh yeah. I just don't think. Yeah, I think. Oof, this was hard.
Yeah, I mean, he had to do that, but I think where the game was lost, unfortunately, was the use of the Breath of the Infinite to clear off the 2 minions there.
And you might have been right. Even I wonder if it was just. If this game was just over at the mall, right? Where we kept the 5 drop and we kept the quest, and maybe the right play was throwing everything back for as much of your early removal as possible.
I think that's really what it has to be, unfortunately. Talking to players who are certainly better than I when it comes to meta reads and whatnot, we haven't seen a deck quite like Demon Hunter for a while. Like, it's very aggressive, very, very aggressive. Like, I believe Hat even said, like, we've had aggro decks like Face Hunter, we've had other decks like that, but like this is a different level where it's just going to keep coming at you all game, and it just doesn't seem to run out of gas.
It reminds me of old aggro shaman, where it was just the best, at beating all other aggressive decks, but then it was also so fast, where it was where you could play control, and sometimes you just got smoked by a double Doomhammer on 5, and that was the end of the game, right? Like, I think this is probably better than old aggro shaman was, to be honest. Though I think it's with the card draw it has, it's just amazing that it cycles through its deck, and it is a bonkers class and a bonkers deck, even after a round of nerfs.
Definitely, and I think what I've found, from playing it myself too, is that as bad as your hand can look, even if you mulligan, it sometimes still gets you there if you get to like turn 4 and 5. A lot of other decks that want to do well against it aren't doing a ton of stuff in the early game. You can maneuver your cards into a position where you can still make boards hard to clear, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're doing 10 to 12 damage in a single turn, and that's a lot of damage for classes that don't heal. That's a lot of damage for classes that do heal.
Yes, as we saw.
Absolutely. And this time, Chubbs has quite a few great answers in his hand. He's got that flame ward there. That's going to go ahead and clear most things that Shun can play. He's got Rolling Fireball for those bigger threats. He's got the Frost Ray to go ahead and slow things down. So there are a lot of options here to try and get him to the later portions of the game where he will hopefully be able to flip things and start mounting his comeback. Because right now, he's down to 1 deck, this Mage, and it's got to win 3 games in order for him to take this series.
Yep, which, I mean, if that does happen, we're going to probably see a good number of puzzle boxes, so I'm here for this. Good job hopping on 1 leg, team. Are we playing
Dino Kangaroos tonight?
We are in the blanket box right now,
That sounds
and
extremely comfortable.
it is. All the blankets have been taken out, and I've made a wall. So, yes, it is. It's a good life. We also have a den built over by the couch as well. So, living his
Very
best
nice.
life for sure. hmm and just chooses to use the Ray of Frost here.
See, I think that's another situation where I think that the Ray could be used on a higher attack target later. Like, if you take 1 damage right now, you're not too worried, especially with the Flame Ward that's up. And ideally, you don't even want to get attacked yet, because you would rather Shunsui overcommit more things to the board before that Flame Ward goes off. Because right now, you're taking out 3 damage. That's not really that impactful.
And maybe the idea was that they wouldn't proc the Flame Ward this turn, but I also wonder, like, was this the right turn to play Flame Ward with that?
Right.
I mean, wait until it was a higher impact board.
He is going to be able to also take the Ice Barrier, effectively an 8, heal for 8, that is.
Yes, yep. Heal 8, exactly what it is. Was that off of Ancient? Okay, good.
Yes,
I wasn't sure.
It
I
was
see the
a
Ancient
freebie
Mysteries,
off
so
Ancient Mysteries. Yep.
that's good.
He Arcane Intellected first, which could have been deadly. Not deadly, but it would have been a pain if he had drawn the Ice Barrier, and not gotten the discount of it, because I would presume there are no more secrets in this deck. Most of these just run Flame Ward and Ice Barrier as their main list.
Yep.
Main secrets in their list.
Some I know of are running Counterspell here and there as kind of like a tech card. But I think that the straight up meta decks are right. They're just running the two secrets. I know I cut them out of my mage list when I'm running on ladder just because it just feels so crappy to draw them instead of Ancient Mysteries.
Oh yeah. Looking at Shunsui's list too, not a whole lot of spell-centric classes at the moment where a counterspell would really swing things. So I don't see counterspell being one of those cards that you probably wanted in your deck. But this is a great target for Ray of Frost right now for Chubbs.
Yep, for sure. Front half is gone, but looking for a little bit more, a little bit gritty with the rolling fireball, which I like here, because with the 4 health there, it is definitely something that you can get actually quite a ways with that rolling fireball. So,
and now we'll see if Shunsui decides to play out that Frozen Shadow Weaver as well, how he orders things on board to play around a potential rolling fireball.
Do you just like the deep freeze here, though? I mean, how good does that look, right?
I mean, deep freeze is phenomenal, but
because you could trade in with the Mana Saber into one of the 1/1s there, and then deep freeze either face or the 6/4, and then you have. I mean, there's a good chance you can hold that for a while.
I think that is one of the cards in this matchup in particular that really, really disrupts everything. Because as you know, as we've seen, Demon Hunter wants to attack. It wants to attack, attack, and as long as it can't do that, you're winning the game. Because so many of its cards require it to attack first. But right now, surprisingly, regardless of that, Chubbs is in pretty good shape. He's got 36 health effectively. We're at turn 7, and he's going into those late game turns where he has just, on average, cards that are much more stronger than what Shunsui will have individually in his hand.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's actually in a pretty good spot. The Mana Saber needs to be answered here, otherwise we could just see Dairy Queen Alex, or we could see just old school Alex draws to drop down next turn.
I mean, I personally would love to see the deep freeze, because, like we said, the 3/6s, they're hard to kill. You can't even use something like Warglaives on them, because if you do, you get to swing once, and then you're frozen for 2 turns, if you include the current turn, and that's really, really disruptive.
Yep, Deep Freeze, I think, against Demon Hunter and Warrior is one of the best cards in your deck.
Yes.
And, I mean, you could almost convince me if you wanted to keep it in the mulligan, especially with a Dragoncaster in hand. So
I would say if you have Dragoncaster, or if you have other early game options, like say you started the game with Arcane Breath, and then you started with, maybe Overconfident Orc, like we saw earlier in Chubbs's turn 3, you might very well keep the Deep Freeze at that point. Big pickup of the Zephyrus, too. That's another option. It's another board clear
I think I would want to see the Zephyrus here.
Well, that's what we're gonna see. Probably a Blizzard.
I don't think you're
Shadow
gonna
Flame.
get it. Yeah, because the Blizzard doesn't kill the whole board. So I wonder if the right move was a ping and look for the Holy Nova. Right. So if you had pinged the 4/3, I think that would have put him at Holy Nova, where I guess it doesn't necessarily need the heal right now because he's still got full health, which is a really good spot for the mage to be in.
But it would have kept the Zephyrs alive, and
would have kept your Zephyr
everybody
alive.
on board helps.
Yeah.
But that being said, like we mentioned, we're looking like at this point the mage is in very, very strong control of this game.
Yeah, the mage is in a super spot, and we're using the I mean, if Glaive Bound Adept goes into a minion, you're feeling super good as the mage.
Oh, without a doubt.
And now you just deep freeze it.
And here's second Rolling Fireball, which by the way is the actual Rolling Fireball, because the first one came off of Arcane Breath.
I mean, or Dexter or Alexstrasza, I guess, or get OG Alexstrasza down because. I mean, yeah, I think there is a bunch. He's just in a great spot.
I like this move. Nathrandomus and the Chrono Breaker are the two. I mean, why not? Like,
I mean, just
hold
on to well, I mean, I don't hate holding on to that.
I mean, it's gonna get some value here. Some minions are gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chubb's in just a really good spot here.
Shunsui also obviously knows that Chrono Breaker is active because we saw one dragon not get played.
Yes,
from
how that works.
So you don't even have to guess if it's going to blow your stuff up because you just know. But we're going to see Metamorphosis come down. Shunsui knows he's sort of on a bit of a clock here and he needs to start going face. That's 10 damage.
Oh boy, look at that top deck.
Yeah. That's what we call Reno 911 because it's an emergency and you need it.
I don't think even necessarily needs it here.
I mean, it's a very, very smooth clear.
I mean, I think no matter what you do here, you're in a good spot.
But to me, it's better than playing the Fireball, just because you get a body on board. You can continue to push the damage, and now Shunsui has to clear what's out there without using glaives, or he just dies.
Yeah, I was thinking the other option was being the deep freeze again, which I think is just been kind of sitting in the hand. I think that card is it's just so good and just ices the game, pun intended. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I would like to point out that apropos of nothing, Shunsui can do 17 damage this turn, which is
that's insane,
just
right?
an absolutely bonkers amount of damage.
I mean, that's just yeah. I mean, you figure how incredible of a spot that Chubbs was in, but at the same time, if it wasn't for that the ice barrier earlier in the game, still would have lost.
Yep, if he didn't have ice barrier, if he didn't get the Zephyrus on time, if even one or two minions were able to go face, if that Glaive Bound got home one time, if if two of those 2/2 satyrs got home one time, that was enough damage, and that just kind of illustrates the point a little bit more succinctly than we can even put it in words, because just how powerful this deck is. It bursts, it's steady damage, it's got everything that an aggro deck really wants.
Yeah, it just reminds me so much of I think the OG aggro shaman, which had the same thing, right? With it went over the top really, really well. It controlled board really, really well. Had super good early game. Yeah, Demon Hunter is just an incredible class. But then hey, Mage got there. Good work. I don't think the Mage always gets there. So.
No,
I don't know if it's even favored.
It's favored. Actually, I don't even know if it's favored. It might be like 48% if I last.
Yeah, I don't think it's favored, and we're keeping the Blizzard. I think if we get to the Blizzard on the play, I would imagine the Drew has probably already got a pretty great board out there. But I can understand wanting to keep it just in case, because it can answer a board of 2/2s if they have nothing else better on board. So,
We see that ice barrier coming down right here. That is, I kind of like not playing it right there, just because if Shunsui did happen to not have, Wild Growth or something that he could play instead, he would be able to just hero power, hit the face, proc it, and know that he could not have to worry about Flame Ward.
Yep. I think. I don't think that's a good. I don't know what you're looking for. Are you looking for the 5-drop? You didn't even get offered the 5-drop. Oof.
I kind of like the idea behind the Fairy Dragon because it is untargetable, but at the same time, cheaper spells is nice too.
So I was actually very surprised we didn't see a Earth Elemental offered for next turns. But I guess because I know that used to be a go-to for Zephyrus if Zephyrus was like, what are you doing here, bro? But I always don't understand what Zephyrus is going to do anyways. So
that's like
Yeah,
Zephyrus
train
is
for
saying,
days,
like,
too.
do you know what you're looking for? Because I'm
yeah.
not really sure you do, and I honestly don't know what to give you.
It's like we can play these two now, or this on curve next turn. I don't know what you want me to do, but and now we're about to see a giant board, and it'll be answered by Blizzard, sort of. So there you go.
Yeah, the fortunate thing here, for Shunsui, obviously he can play almost all of his hand, and has that overflow to just refill it right after. So this is this is a good spot to be in as Druid.
I would like to see either just go ahead and put the Iron Bark on the 4/1 so you can, or you know what, go ahead and do that and just get through it yourself.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I think they're all fine options.
Yep, hit the 3/2. I can see using Iron Bark on one minion here, but I would really love to see him hold one for that Ysera, because that is a really hard cell to get through.
And we're just saying, you know what, I don't think you can do anything about any of this.
Honestly, there's that too. The problem here is that he doesn't know if that's Flame Ward or not. And so it ended up working out in Chubbs' favor, because that still could be either secret, and he hasn't tested for Ice Barrier. Obviously, if he had, he would know this is Ice Barrier, not Flame Ward. And Savage Roar does not keep these minions alive outside of the Mount Cellar.
Oh, play this turn. No. Play this turn. Play this turn. Don't you want to play it this turn?
I can see him mousing over minions, which means he's counting. He knows that he has to figure out whether or not he dies to a Savage Roar. Which is, he's also, maybe he's counting Rolling Fireball as an option too. Okay, he's going to go ahead and use that to just take out the Mount Cellar. So he sat there and he said to himself, alright, there's 2, 5, 6, 8, 11 on board. A Savage Roar is another 10, that's 21. I know I'm not dead because I have +8. So essentially the only thing that really hoses me is a double Savage Roar. And from experience, the Druid has double Savage Roar every time.
It's how it works, actually.
Exactly how it works.
As intended.
It's
except for this
6,
time.
They have 2 Savage Roars. But yes, he was correct in his assumption. And Shinsui's going to use that overflow to fill up his hand. We see he's running the Emerald Explorer version of the Spell Druid. And now you have to wonder, does he want to risk possibly losing every minion he has?
I think you have to, right? Like, you just attack with, like, the 3/1, and then see where you end up.
You've got Glowfly in hand, so you've got a refill next turn. You've got Ysera. There are plenty of ways for you to continue to make progress in the matchup, but no, he chooses to hold it, and that really worked out. The bluff worked out for Chubbs here. It's ended up being a great play.
Yep. Yeah. Huh. think you just go ahead and play your Ysera and turn.
Yeah, there's really not much else to be done. You don't want to use anything that goes super wide. I could see a case for the Emerald Explorer, but you're not facing any imminent threat. So, yeah, go ahead and get those portals in there now, and just hope you don't draw a ton of them too quick.
And there was enough cards. I tried to check. There was 8 cards in deck, so the chance of you like just burning through those portals isn't great. But sometimes Hearthstone go to Hearthstone. So
yeah, yet again, I refer you to my HS replay.
You should see me playing this deck.
Boy.
I
had a triple discard Fungal Fortunes moment the other day, which
Fungal Fortune just reads, spend 2 mana, discard 3 minions. So that's what it reads for me. And look at this.
Look at it.
If that board hadn't been cleared, these would have all burned.
That was like low key the best thing that could have happened to Shunsui, because these minions, by and large, no pun intended, are way stronger than the ones that died. Like, this is great. Yep. Now he doesn't care if it's Flame Ward at all.
Yep. Now you just go ahead and just smash into it.
And
because who cares?
He knows it is Flame Ward because the both secrets are up there. So there's
one of them was generated, so there was the chance.
Oh, you're correct. That's right.
Yep. So.
But now Soul of the Forest comes down for that extra protection, just in case something does manage to clear off the board. There's still going to be a board, unless it is a Reno that poofs everything. That's his only real option here, but we know we're still 1 turn away from that.
I think you go ahead and... you can go ahead and Ancient Mysteries this turn, too.
If he does that, though, he's 100% getting another Flame Ward he can't play.
But you're getting it out of your hand and you're getting it out of your deck.
You are, and I think we're probably going to see that happen here.
Yep. The only other play I would see maybe is pinging the 3/1 just so you can proc the Death Rattle. And then that's 2 more health / damage off the board, but I don't know. I think either player is just fine, so... And I think one thing is for sure, I think we're going to see a puzzle box of Yogg-Saron next turn. And I'm excited.
Is that the first time that we've actually... we've been calling for that for weeks.
We got 2 puzzle boxes, I think 3 weeks ago. I think Based gave us a couple puzzle boxes, right?
You may be correct.
I know we did get at least 1, which is always the best part of any game, really, all the games.
Alright, so now this is interesting, because you can Savage Roar. It will kill the 2/2 and the 3/2. So as long as you hit with the 3/2 first, you're still going to get
hit with the 3/2. Yep. I still think you Savage Roar. I still think you hit in with the little baby dragon first, right?
The only downside here is you won't be able to use your face, because you've already used that to clear the Tiamat.
Do you care?
Well, there are 2 Savage Roars. Is this just lethal? Is it enough?
I feel like
it's 15.
I think
no, it's 31.
I think either way, we lost the 3/2.
Disorder there. Yep.
You're going into your poof turn. I really like getting as much use out of this board as possible.
But as we know, there is no poof in hand. There is another Flame
Ward.
No
poof.
Which
there is a puzzle box.
Puzzle box, or now that you've picked up an active Malagos, is that a consideration? Well, you can Calicos first and always puzzle box after. Why not?
Oh, take the second puzzle box.
Second box.
Take it. It is right. You take it and you play it.
Yeah. This is here we go. Esports,
all
baby.
All right.
Innervate. All right.
All right. We got.
Where's the damage going?
Oh, where's it going? Oh, going there.
Wait, it wasn't damage, right?
We silenced it.
Value.
Way to go, puzzle box.
Hey, we've got some face damage, and that.
We got another 6/6 from it though. Ooh, we're
gone.
No.
Oh no! But he did draw the Reno. And what was the secret? What was the secret? Flame Ward. It's Flame Ward.
He played the Flame Ward.
Oh, he played the Flame Ward. It's Redemption. Yeah, it's Redemption.
Yep, because after he had to wait to play the Flame Ward until after he played Caligos in order to play that'd be your free spell. So, if he's gonna do like Caligos,
I got bad news though. He's still dead.
he's still dead. It's just a bummer. I really wanted to see another puzzle box.
Realistically, we were going to definitely see Reno next turn, but yeah, that was not the most powerful puzzle box that has ever existed.
It was good for the laughs though. It was good for the giggles. And I do want to shout out to THL for being outstanding. As soon as we got to the point of the stream where I was talking about my car, I did get a DM saying, "Hey, I know a good mechanic in Minneapolis."
Well, look at that! Gotta love the community reaching out. Always appreciated.
Good people.
That was basically the finish to every Druid game. If you watched Masters Tour, aka Druid Tour, over the last 2 days, that was featured heavily because Druid is not getting banned, and the game's end just like you saw.
It's the third best deck right now, and so we're almost always seeing it because Demon Hunter and Warrior are getting banned, and then that Druid's always there. It's bonkers good, right?
It is one of those decks that it can brick very hard, but when it rolls like it did there, it's so difficult to stop. And that is, I think, what is frustrating. Honestly, it's frustrating a lot of people, not only in THL, but a lot of complaints that you see online for Masters Tour or just Ladder. It's like, especially if you get into a mirror, it's who draws Overgrowth, who gets their who gets their exotic mount seller, and if you don't get it, you don't get it, and you sit there kind of waiting, and then you lose.
It does with that. It does, yeah. You could put the list I'm playing, which is worse. It's also 100% more fun because Malagos. And Malagos makes everything better. It does.
We can get Shansui in here for an interview if you would like.
Sure, I think so.
All right, let me get him into the Discord.
But yeah, it's a high roll deck, but I think we're at a part in competitive Hearthstone where there are two best decks. I think you can make, and then there's kind of everything else. And I think your 3 and your 4, your C and your D. I think you're looking at maybe the Rogue, which looked really good, I thought, over the past couple of days. And then the Druid, even though Druid can super brick and the mirrors are miserable, it's just a bonkers good deck, right? So
absolutely. And Shansui looks like he has arrived.
Yep.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Undefeated on stream, baby. Let's go ATL.
That is the correct way to start the interview.
We usually offer the shout-outs at the end of the interview, but hey, if you want to jump right to that part of the interview, that's perfectly fine. You got the win. You get to do what you want to do.
Yeah. Shout out to my captain. Shout out to my little cousin, them. You know what I'm saying? All my kids at basketball camp, the casters. All love to everybody. Now, dude's a real good player, man. I was nervous. I was nervous that Druid day.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So we didn't see your Warrior or your Demon Hunter get banned at all. Were you excited to see that? I mean, usually one of those gets banned.
Now, well, Hunter's my favorite deck, so I was like, oh shit, because I was practicing against Priest today with Demon Hunter. All right, so when I sent them the screenshot, my decks were named Spell Druid and Pirate. So I'm like, all right, well, I just gave him a heads up on what I'm doing.
Well, I'm kind of surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm sad we didn't get to see the Pirate Warrior.
I'm super bummed now.
I was like, oh man, but I really wanted to play my Hunter against his Priest because I feel like that was my safest bet. But like the math with Demon Hunter, sometimes it's just there. I got a little lucky.
Yeah, we were even saying in the game that you lost with Demon Hunter, you still had 17 damage in hand at that exact moment, which is just absurd for any deck to be able to do. But you know, that's how Demon Hunter rolls, and you did get 2 wins with it, so that got you most of the way there, which is great. And then you finish it off, of course, in the end with Druid. So were you just running the list that had like just the Emerald Explorers, or was there any other dragons in there?
It's just the Emerald Explorers and Ysera. I was running the OG Ysera that hits you for 15, takes you to 15 life, and the Sand of Dreams. but I took out my rafts and my moonfires for claws and wild growths, and I put in I put in something instead of your Sarah and the Sandburst. I think that's what took me up to 2 rafts and let me see what's on my list. So my tracker's not working. Oh no,
Sounds like a tracker.
I've been tinkering with it a little bit. It's because with Warrior you need the buff, you need like the emeralds. You know what I'm saying? But oh no, it was a toss up. But I did make sure that I added in the claws for this matchup.
Yeah, the claws are a nice touch. I've been seeing more and more people add those in, so it definitely has, it has much better early game potential against decks like Demon Hunter, because you can take out those Battle Fiends, you can take out those Satyrs where Moonfire can't do that. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting addition to the deck.
I got a question. What did y'all think about the double twin slice coin hero power to take out his 1/3?
So I did actually mention that. If you watch the VOD, that was one of the first things. Obviously, it was the first turn of the first game. And I've always, thought that that's an interesting decision because it's a good resource to have, especially if you pick up Altruist. Twin Slice gets you 2 damage across the entire board. But in that specific instance, it worked to keep your minion alive, and I think that pretty much swung the game at that moment.
Yeah, for sure. And I had a Satyr and I had a weapon on turn 2 is the only reason that I was like, all right, cool, I can go ahead and do it this time. I really hope my captain didn't see that first part of that game because he's probably like pulling out his head.
I thought it was the right play though, because it otherwise it was just dead to a hero power, which I thought. If you can keep your Tunnel Trog alive, you keep your Tunnel Trog alive. So
yeah, it's a very context sensitive play. Like, it is not the right play 100% of the time, but it was the right play there 100% of the time.
Yeah, I get blown out the water if he goes like corrosive breath after that. Like, it could have went bad.
It could have been, but I mean, at that point, you're sitting there saying, I got to establish myself in some way. I don't win unless I do damage, so here's my best way to get some damage going, which I think, like you said, you had the follow-ups that you weren't going to be sitting there doing nothing for the next 2 turns if you did that. If your rest of your hand was like Glaive Mounted Depths, sure, you hold on to the Twin Slice and you wait a little bit longer. But yeah, I think you did it right for sure.
Yeah, I started a message like right after that mage game. I was like, please tell me the first secret was Flame Lord because I just didn't attack. I was fishing for power.
Do you want us to tell you, or do you want to wait till you see the VOD?
Please tell me.
It was an ice barrier.
It was an ice barrier. Oh my god!
We were saying, he bluffed. You had it. We were saying, the bluff might end up actually working out in his favor there, and it did. It stopped you from attacking.
He has to play poker. That guy has to be a poker player. Holy moly! Oh
sometimes it's not about what you have; it's what you make your opponent think that you have, and that's and you were right. You were smart to not attack there, because that really would have just blown you out, and then you ended up getting the Soul of the Forest later on and being able to kind of establish things. So I think you navigated it well, regardless of how bad that. Like, it seems bad because you wanted to go ahead and crush that turn, but at the end of the day, I think it was the safe, reliable play that you made.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too fancy and try to like turn 4 and turn 5, turn 6, something like that. I figured I had to. I don't know. I was nervous. I was like, man, if I lose all my creatures, no Soul of the Forest, I'm gonna have to make more Glowflies and then try to pray for a Soul of the Forest. So that's why I just cast a 7-mana card to try to fish for a Power of the Wild since I had Innovates in hand. So I was like, man, hopefully something will shake. I'm so glad it worked out.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on your win. That puts you guys back into the lead. I know it was 6-5 at the start of the night, so that's going to pop you guys up to a 9-7 lead with 2 matches to play. Nice. And very important in the standings as your teams are 1 and 2 right now. So be interesting to see how this finishes up for you over the weekend.
All right. If anybody want to come knock me off my hot streak, you know what I'm saying?
Open invitation to everybody out there. Shansui's calling you out, future opponents.
Calling all fifth seeds. Let me stop. I appreciate, I work hard, man, and I appreciate everything that y'all do behind the scenes to make this shit possible, y'all.
Oh,
It was a
thank
fun match. Congratulations. Thank you so much for letting us cast
yeah,
it.
exactly. That's all I wanted to say too. Is thanks for letting us watch. It's always appreciated. We can't do anything without people offering up their matches. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to my opponent too, man. He's a good player. That PR isn't accurate to his skill level.
No.
He's
Nope.
way better than that.
Daddy, can I have this?
Yes, you can.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Shun. Dano, as always, fun time cast with you. And this is our only match of the night. I wish we had one more to play, but that's all we got this evening. So we'll be signing off, and we will be back next Saturday, of course. Though we still do have a full slate for you tomorrow, which is awesome. Sunday
cool.
Schoolstone is happening in the afternoon. I'm just pulling up the list here. So we've got 3 p.m. It starts with Bill Snyder versus J.R. Juggernaut. It's a legacy match. And then Memnarch versus Based Inc. after that. That's a wild match at 4. So that's just to get things going. Then 9 p.m. Sunday night, Blase versus Mike Lowe. Another wild match. And Itachi versus Bill Snyder, who he's playing all his matches on Sunday, will also be wild. So it's going to be 3 out of 4 wild matches tomorrow on Sunday. So please make sure to tune into those streams. And we'll be back next week. Good luck to anybody still playing their matches out there. Good luck to you, Shun, and ATL for the rest of the week. And hope everybody out there has a great night.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us.
Yep. One more soul to the shadows.